Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Four Lads Rangers Midweek podcast. Delighted to be back on. Another solid result for Rangers last night, and delighted to be joined by the returning Chris, who's been off for a few weeks. But Chris, great to see you. Welcome back, mate.
Yep. Is it too late now to say Happy New Year? I don't know. What's the rules? We're on 7th of January. Well, I think we're just a wee bit too late, but it's my first podcast of the year, so I think I'll get away with that. Not much has happened since the last time I've been on. It's been quiet.
Yep. And Rangers are making quite the impact these days. We'll get Chris's take just in a couple of minutes. Kenny, ladies and gentlemen, I'm a bit nervous. What's Kenny going to sound like after Monday night? Kenny or Edith or Sean Dyche, what should we call you? Welcome, mate. How are you?
Just call me Kenny, mate. That'll do. I'm all right. Thank you. Voice is a little bit better. Still a little bit hoarse, but yeah, good win last night. I'm looking forward to a wee chat tonight, and good to see Chris back.
Chris, since you were last on, Rangers have had quite the run, I think. Obviously, after Tynecastle, I think you may have been on pre-Hearts, and then obviously you've had a few weeks off, Christmas, etc. We have done remarkably well. We've got 4 or 5 really good results on the bounce, and we've managed somehow to find ourselves within 3 points of top spot, albeit played a game more. It's been a surprising upturn, I suppose, given that we weren't able to. It's the first time I think we've won 4 games in a trot in quite a few years. So there's all these things to consider. You've watched it without comment. A lot's happened over the road as well. There's been a lot going on. We've not signed anybody yet, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But how do you comment on the last few weeks in Rangers land? And has your impressions of the team changed? Have your expectations changed? Have you had to pinch yourself at some of the results? I'm eager to find out what you've been thinking the last couple of weeks.
Yes to all those questions that you asked there. But I think if we go back to kind of, it was either my last podcast or my second last podcast, we weren't really in, I wouldn't say a great place, but we were improving, we were getting by. Performances were still a bit, iffy, but we were still picking up points. And then obviously the Europa League, I've drawn the short straw here. I'm on every Wednesday, which is the day before the Europa League, and I've had to basically call it as I see it, which is pretty much defeat after defeat. And I take no pleasure in that. And then I think, Stevie, you asked me the question about the run that included Hearts, St Mirren, Motherwell, Aberdeen twice, Hibs, and obviously Celtic, and what do we need to do to get through that to give us a chance, and can we win all the games, or can we go through undefeated? And obviously I said that we would. I was pretty, sure that we would lose at least one of the games, and then the first or maybe the second game in the run we lost against Hearts, and that was no great surprise to me. But ever since then, we have been quite frankly sensational. Performances still can get better, but I think Danny Rohl is aware of that. I think most of the fans are aware of that as well. I don't think anyone's kidding themselves on that we're blowing teams away maybe the way we should. I think last night was kind of testament to that. Getting in at half time 2-0, we should have come out in that second half and put that game to bed and look to get the goal difference up, which is just an unbelievable scenario to be in, looking to get the goal difference up after the start that we had. So yeah, it's been quite remarkable. From individuals, it's been quite remarkable from Danny Rohl. It's been quite remarkable from the team as a whole, and I think just on Danny Rohl, there was many things that cards on the table. Obviously, I had a personal interest and a personal investment in the hunt for the new manager, and that isn't the reason I wanted Kevin Muscat. I genuinely believe that Kevin Muscat would have been the right man for the job, but when Danny Rohl was the man that got the position, there was many things that made me nervous, really, really nervous about him. I thought, people going about his experience with Germany and Bayern Munich, and and whatnot, and they're absolutely right to do that. But it's a whole different ballgame being the number one. And I thought that his lack of experience being a number one would have hindered him. I thought his age would have hindered him, and the fact he was German as well, coming into this weird wee part of the world that we all live in, I thought that would have hindered him. And the things that I was nervous about with Danny Rohl, I now have to flip that and go, that makes it all the more impressive for me that a very young guy has come in and galvanised the football club, galvanised the players, and shown experience way beyond these years, shown experience way beyond his actual experience, if that makes sense. Now, I know I could be jumping the gun a wee bit here, but I'm only calling it, I'm giving an assessment on what has happened so far. I get that it could still turn really badly, but let's not look at that, because we are really playing. So we really are picking up result after result, and we're now back in a title race. So I have to say, with Danny Rohl, I didn't want to jump the gun on him to begin with. I didn't want to give him too much praise or give him too much negativity. I wanted to sort of let him see what he could do. It's pretty much right, show me what you can do kind of thing. I think his fans will like that with players and managers. So the last month he's arrived as the Rangers manager, and it's not that I wasn't fully on board. All the nervousness around his short or potential shortcomings that I perceived, I can now put to one side now, and I can say that that's no longer a worry. And to do what he's done with a squad of players, and I get people saying we've not won anything yet, and you're absolutely right. I get people saying that obviously we can talk about this when we go top of the league. Really, what he has done in this short space of time has been almost a mini miracle, because now if I come on to the players, there's still many players that aren't good enough. There's still many players that shouldn't be at Ibrox, and he's managed to really galvanise these players, and somehow, some way, he's dragged us into a title race where even the harshest of critics can't deny him that. He has done that almost single-handedly, and yeah, it's positive times. But if we now look if we look ahead, where we look at what do we need this January, Danny Rohl has earned the right to be backed through these results, and I get why fans are nervous. We will probably, the three of us will probably discuss this, the fact that we're in January 7th and there's no signings and stuff, and you get all different types of fans with all different types of opinions. It's only January, and January is a difficult window, and give it time. And you get the other side of the spectrum where I can't believe it's been 7 days and we've not signed anybody. What the fuck's going on? And come on, we need to sign people. I'm probably in the middle a wee bit, but he needs to be backed because he's earned that. And the only way we will go on to win this league is if he is backed. If he isn't backed here, if we fail to back him, if we fail to land some key targets and key positions, we won't win the league. Because as much as this squad has done remarkably well, I do have serious question marks about the longevity of their form. I don't think they're able to do it between now and May if quality isn't added. So, look, I get it. Hearts, the window opened. They had two players in the door. Celtic have just about to sign a second player as well, and we're just sitting there with nothing, and we all expected players to be lined up ready to go from minute one. I'm a wee bit surprised that hasn't been the case. I don't know if obviously Kevin Felwell being dismissed and Stig Bjorneby coming in, and there might be a wee bit of kind of reasoning behind that, but we do have to get our finger out now. Back Danny Rohl, get the players in, give ourselves the best possible chance, and the carrot at the end is potential automatic qualification for the Champions League, which could be game changing for this football club. Absolutely game changing. So, yep, it's been a remarkable last month without me. Maybe I should just not come on very often. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the key.
Well, if the key to that is me staying away from away games and you not podding and Rangers winning the league, then it might be something we have to do, Chris. Ladies and gentlemen, I need to speak to everybody really honestly and tell you something that's went on. You know, a couple of months ago, there's a lot being said, and Kenny was brought a new laptop. Ladies and gentlemen, I made the decision to buy that laptop, purchased it, and everything else, and it's about time that I came clean and told you all what happened. I was scanning for the best deal, and there was a voucher deal, and 125 quid, and I thought, brand new laptop, absolutely brilliant. Got it bought, got it sent to Kenny's house. Felt like the absolute dog's bollocks. What a good person I am. Paid for his new laptop. It turned out it was an absolute shiter. It was older than the one he actually had. And yeah, so I'm giving Kenny pelters because he can't turn it on and everything else. It turns out that it was older. It's like from 2005 or something. And recommended by Kevin Thelwell. And poor Kenny, mate, it's time to come clean, Kenny. I'm really sorry, buddy. I gave you an absolute snider, and the good news is you just swapped the battery from that into your battery of your old one, which is better than it, and it works perfectly, mate. I'm really sorry I've let you down. These is why we make executive decisions and let Andrew pick these kind of things. I thought I was doing a good thing, but I was sold down the river, got you a snider, and I hope that everybody accepts my apology, Kenny. I'm sorry, buddy.
Well,
It's like Windows 98 or something.
You were sitting moaning at me the other week that I couldn't get StreamYard on it. The reason I couldn't get StreamYard on it is just because it's so fucking old, mate. It doesn't take StreamYard. It won't run it. So I spent about 10 man hours trying to get this thing to work. And it's just sitting up there now. The only thing
the good news is, folks, Kenny does be able to play FIFA 94 in pristine condition.
The only good thing about this, mate, is that it's cost you 125 quid. So get it round you. Honestly, absolute snider of a thing. And I when I opened it up, I was all excited. You know that? Oh yes. And you open it up and you go, it looks the same as the one I've got. And then you check the dates, and it's actually 2 years. It's actually 2 years older than the one I've got. It's running on iOS 7 or something like that. It's pathetic. So yeah, I'm using the one that I'm still using. I've been using all this time, and I've decided I'll get myself one, mate. Don't you worry.
It's probably best, mate. Just send me the ball. But now that that's cleared up, everybody, let's get on with the proper stuff. Rangers did defeat Aberdeen 2-0 last night, Kenny. Goals from Manny Fernandez and Nico Raskin. Another clean sheet. Loads of good individual performances. Were we at our absolute best? I'm not sure we were. I think there's a lot more we could do. I think we gave Aberdeen too much encouragement at times, but we were still really comfortable. And if we're coming away from a 2-0 win, by the way, last time we were 2-0 at half time, it was back in September at Ibrox, so that shows you. I think they look like a team that are starting to get really confident and believe in themselves. I think Connor Barron's come on leaps and bounds. I think Nico Raskin is starting to perform as we know how he can. Loads of good individual moments, Kenny, but not outstanding. Could we have conceded a couple? We probably should have. Poor decision making. Kevin Nisbet and that other boy up front, Bilolovich or something, the number 14, missed some really good chances. And we need to be careful of that. There were some dodgy defended moments by Fernandez on the ball and off the ball. So there's lots to work on. But I don't think the substitutions were great either. But again, we're complaining about beating Aberdeen 2-0 in a big game where we constantly criticise, and Chris will ask you the same as well. We've criticised them so many times in the past for blown opportunity to put pressure on and stuff like that. We were relatively comfortable in the strangest way last night that we were still not great and under pressure at times, but still ultimately comfortable. It's a weird thing to try and explain to you how I felt watching it, but it was 2-0. It was fine. It wasn't great. It was okay. And, you know, it's just one of those games you chalk down and move up. And those are the type of games that win prizes at the end of the year.
Yeah, exactly. And what I'm going to say I'll say this slightly differently from you. I actually was, when I say I was impressed with the performance, I don't mean the overall performance, but I was really impressed with the dominance that we showed in that game. And bar that long ball over the top that's caused us bother for a long, long time, I didn't think we were in any great, we weren't worried about anything really at all. And it is that ball over the top that is catching us out, and it's because we're playing such a high line. Now, on our performance, listen, 2 set-piece goals, 2-0 up at half-time. If you're being honest, I thought the game was pretty much done and dusted. It's always a kind of weird scoreline because, you know, the next goal can totally change a game. But I've got to say, at any point in my life, if you're turning up and you're beating Aberdeen with an ease like that, where I thought, for all that we weren't brilliant, I'm not going to turn around and say we were, because we weren't, but we pretty much dominated that game for 90 minutes. And what I liked is last night was you could see the shoots of what Danny Rohl was trying to do. I think there was some really nice patterns of play, actually. It's been a long, long time since I've seen Rangers with an actual style of play where you could see these lovely triangles just getting moved about from left to right, up and down the pitch, and just keeping Aberdeen nowhere near the ball. So I'd give them a good 7 out of 10 yesterday, last night, Stevie. I thought they were decent. I didn't think they were brilliant. I don't think we're creating enough. I think we'll come to that when we talk about transfers. I think that's absolutely pivotal to the remainder of this season, where if we can find a way to get in behind teams or to play that through ball, that key pass, we'll score a lot more goals. However, I still think we need another number 9 as well. I think that's part of the issue that we have, is that Chermiti, I thought, had a decent game last night. I thought Miovski came on, worked hard, but they're not really getting many chances, are they? Overall, in general, our team's not creating chances for a number 9. Now, we've been saying that for a long time, but that's kind of where I'm at, that a 10 or maybe somebody on the right-hand side, because I'm just a wee bit worried about Gassama. I think his confidence is very, very low. And I think maybe having him rotate with somebody would be an awful lot better. And I know Ant-Man's there, but I'm not convinced with that either. So 2 or 3 key positions up front, and I think we'll be fine.
Chris, it was routine, uncomfortable in spells, but weirdly comfortable in the uncomfortable moments. Could have got more. We looked very controlled, I suppose that's the way to say it. I agree with Kenny, there was some good football at times. The one where Raskin tried to flick it, if that flick had come off, the boy was in. There was a lot of good stuff. Connor Barron played really well. Probably should have more, probably could have conceded. But equally, a strange way to try and ask you to describe it, because it was comfortable, but it wasn't comfortable in spells, and it's just one of those games where, as I said, it's the ones at the end of the season which are vital.
Yeah, I probably look at it a wee bit differently for you guys in terms of where I want my comfort level, or maybe I want a performance. I just the most difficult game of any season for Rangers is the game after an Old Firm win. It's always been the same. You have to follow up with a win, no matter what. Walter, weirdly, especially in his second spell, Walter weirdly didn't have the best of records the game after beating Celtic. I remember many drop points with that, and maybe that's embedded
all the time.
Inverness, Dundee United as well. They've done a few times, but yeah, I remember we beat Celtic. Did we beat Celtic at Parkhead, and then Inverness turned us over 1-0 at Ibrox? Is that right?
It was 1 each at Ibrox, I think, after we won at Parkhead. We won the first 9 and then drew in that game. I think Dundee United possibly 3 each and things like that. But you're right, we did. You're right in what you're saying.
So it's embedded in my mind, not because it's scar tissue, it's because Walter always said this was a more important game than the game that we won last week, which was against Celtic. So I suppose what my point is, this group of players have done the job. They've done a really difficult thing, following up an Old Firm victory away at Parkhead with a win, and job done. Did I feel uncomfortable? Well, do you know what? Maybe I did when the boy went through the first time, and then I realised he's absolutely fucking shit. So there's nothing really to worry there, because he then had another chance where he just completely scuffed his shot. But look, if that's in any other season, in any other successful season, and time's gone by, I don't think we feel uncomfortable. I think we've been through a lot the last couple of years. And these games maybe feel a wee bit more heightened in tension than they actually are, because Aberdeen, I don't want to criticise Aberdeen too much, because I know we're playing them at the weekend, so I don't want to jinx it. But last night they didn't turn up. I heard Peter Leaving say that he was impressed by them and he was happy. I would be raging if I was an Aberdeen fan, and that was their attitude after the manager lost their job. So, yeah, look, these players got the job done, and that's all we could have asked for them. Performances are getting better. Understanding between certain players is getting better, but we're still short. We're still so short. I agree with Kenny. We need to get that clinical striker. We will talk about transfers, as I've said, but I think priority has to be centre defence as well. I think I really like Fernandez. I'm saying I really, that's a wee bit hypocritical. I didn't think he was up to much to begin with, but he's come right into a game, and I can see the potential in him, but I don't think he should be our first choice defender, in this running. I think he needs to be developed. I think if we can get a better quality centre half, they go in beside John Souttar or do John Sterling, but obviously Sterling might be injured again. But again, that take nothing away. Please don't take that as a criticism of Fernandez. I think he's done extremely well, but he has so many brain farts in him, and maybe that's why there was some uncomfortable moments, because, as I say, I think we've seen Fernandez come out of defence, come out of position a few times last night, and we're just like, oh God, please don't mess this up. But listen, we were as comfortable as we possibly could be in that type of game. You look at the circumstances, it's a cup final for Aberdeen, as it always is. We've just beat Celtic, so we need to follow up with a win. We've got the opportunity to go second, go above Celtic, and really get into this title race. And the players came through, so yeah, job done.
Yeah, very much job done. I think you're right, Chris. Really, really crucial point there, that the game after Celtic being, and by the way, a victory like that on Saturday takes a lot out of you, physically, emotionally. So the players did look tired to me last night. Why Danny had to try and fix it. There's a lot of comments about Asgard in the comments from people. I thought Tello Asgard had a good game. I thought he was good on the ball. I thought he controlled it well. The problem is Tello Asgard's doing that on the halfway line, and it's absolutely pointless. I want Tello Asgard doing that at the edge of the box, taking good touches, laying people in. When he's that far away from goal, I don't think he's doing anything. He's not committing anybody. He's keeping the ball. He's retaining the ball, but he's more like a glorified 6 than what I really want him to be, which is a 10. And when he does get into those positions, and he did have a really wild shot, I think he lacks that kind of composure. I think he lacks that kind of quality. But I did think on the ball, retention-wise, passing-wise, I thought he was decent last night. He plays in a style that I don't like. And what I mean by that is he's very laid back. He's very much wants time on the ball and everything. And that's probably why I like Nico and I like Connor Barron and stuff like that, because they're little Rottweilers, and that's what I like in my team. You can't have 11 of them, so I get it as well. I thought he was better, but there's no point in being better than the halfway line. He needs to go and affect the game up front. There was a clear difference for me. I thought when Chimiti went off, we had no out ball. Doesn't hold up. Miovski couldn't get into the game. I don't think he's offered well and truly enough. In fact, I would go as far to say is, if you look at Miovski and Chimiti's recent performances, Chimiti's offered a whole lot more. But the positives, Nico Raskin, thought Connor Barron was excellent. Mo Diamande as well, done a good shift, and then seemed to lose his stomach, ran straight up the tunnel. Danny Rohl said he had stomach issues. So, yeah, 2 good goals from set pieces. In summary, I think there's a lot of positives, lads. It's a win. We move on. and we're in a good place, which none of us, to be quite honest. I said this team is not in a title fight. I said they're not good enough. I said that they don't have the individual collective qualities. Well, they're shutting me up, and I hope they continue to do it. We do need signings, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Danny Rohl does deserve to be back. I agree with Chris again, but fair play to the team. Let's move on from that. We'll talk about some news that's broken this evening. Chris Jack reporting that Jim Gillespie is once again front runner for the Rangers CEO job. We've been here before, Chris, known as doing good work with the Kibble Foundation in Paisley and being one of the main men at St Mirren. Also rumours, potentially Keith Lasley might be joining them at Ibrox. There's all sorts of rumours at the moment. I'm of the opinion, and here's where it becomes harsh. See if you've turned down the Rangers job once, and we go back in cap in hand. I'm not sure that I would do that. Jim Gillespie's a big Rangers fan. I recognise that and things like that. But if he didn't want it the first time, why are we then going after him for the second time? So there's a wee bit of intrigue, I suppose, for me about why we're going back there and why he would consider it. So, Keith Lasley and things, we'll just need to wait and see if that's just rumour pie in the sky. But Jim Gillespie coming back as CEO, I've got to be honest, as much as Jim's a Rangers fan, as much as I like it, Chris, I'm not. It's not one that grabs my attention. It's not one that I think is that standout candidate that's able to take us up levels. I'm not sure I don't want him to become somebody that's just filling the space. So I'm trying not to be too harsh on him. He's a Rangers fan. And, I think that if he really wanted to be here, he would have been here first time. He's not, and we've went back to him. Chris, what do you make of that news tonight that's come out?
Well, first of all, I think I get what you're saying, that if you reject Rangers once, we shouldn't really be going back in for them cap in hand. I do understand your point there, but I think we need to look at the circumstances here. Why did they reject us? He was going to be working with John Bennett and the Parks and whoever else were clearly on the way out. We were on a downsizing mission when we first went in for him. So he would have been the man responsible for the downsizing. I don't think that's fair. That decision came from John Bennett and the rest of them. But Jim Gillespie would have been the face of that downsizing. I can totally understand why he didn't take the opportunity to begin with, and I can totally understand why he is now interested, because it's a new regime. He's got a blank canvas in many aspects. I think the Americans have got very exciting plans, and he can be there to implement them. To your point, is he good enough? Is he filling a space? He is good enough. He is good enough. I think that St Mirren are probably one of the top 3 best run clubs in the country. I think what the Kibble have done at St Mirren over the last 5 to 8 years has been astounding. You've got Smiza as well, which is the St Mirren fans investing in the club, which Jim Gillespie's a big part of. And listen, believe it or not, Kenny will back me up here. I've been calling for Keith Lasley to be appointed in at Rangers for a very, very long time. We had Kevin Felwell and we had Patrick Stewart. We've had James Bisgrove. We've had many other directors that simply do not understand. And maybe we're a wee bit harsh on James Bisgrove, because I believe he grew into, maybe didn't grow into his CEO role, but he certainly grew into his commercial role by understanding Rangers as a bigger picture. But then I always go back to, it was him that was the architect of Australia. He didn't totally get it. Keith Lasley has proven himself at a smaller club. He knows Scottish football inside out. He has done a tremendous job at St Mirren. St Mirren are a profitable football club again. He's done a tremendous job within the community at Paisley, and he's done a tremendous job in the infrastructure for St Mirren. So when you do a good job at a smaller scale, well, actually, when you do a brilliant job at a smaller scale, which I believe Keith Lasley has done, you then earn the right to move up a level or two. And I believe he's earned that right. And I would have no doubt, no apprehension whatsoever about Keith Lasley coming in and doing a good job for us, because he understands the political landscape that he's joining. He understands the muddy water he needs to navigate. He has been brought up around this his whole life. So yeah, I think he's earned an opportunity to that. And if it is him and Jim Gillespie, I won't be too bothered by that, because you've got, I can't speak for Keith Lasley. There is rumours he is a Rangers fan, but I don't want to say it for certain. But as we know, Jim Gillespie is, and that's also a positive, because, as you say, you had a complete and utter disconnect with Patrick Stewart. He hated us. He didn't give a shit about us. He didn't understand what he had to do in terms of the dirty stuff and being a kind of a nasty politician, which you have to be in this job. And I'm not saying Jim Gillespie's that either, by the way, but at least Jim Gillespie understands that's what you need. So I'm fairly happy with these rumours. And if it does come to fruition, I'd absolutely give them a chance, because I've maybe not been calling for Jim Gillespie, but I certainly have been calling for Keith Lasley. I think Keith Lasley ticks a lot of boxes, and we can't, be too snooty and dismissive of what good jobs people do at smaller clubs in Scotland, and I include the players in that. I think that's been our problem for too long now, and it's cost us a lot of money, and it's cost us a lot of points, and it's cost us a lot of trophies, because we should have had a lot of players and a lot of coaches or executives at this football club that we've let leave this country, because I think you've said it yourself, Stevie, we get fanny dazzled by what's down south, and I can tell you there's talent up here.
Listen, I think you make really good points. You kind of nail me on quite a few of it, and I'm quite happy about that. I think my point being is that, and it probably doesn't make sense, but I suppose I'm just a wee bit concerned about that. I was very positive about Patrick Stewart coming in Manchester United, probably, as you say, fanny dazzled. Kind of spoke about him and said, I hope this is going to be good. It's not that I don't hope Jim Gillespie is going to be good, Kenny. That's not the way at all. I'm just a bit, why was it? Why did these things happen last time? But as everybody says, it's happened to Rangers a few times. I'm not holding it against them. I suppose it's just a wonderment of why we're back here again, and maybe why he didn't take it before. Chris has kind of nailed it and said a few things on it, which is great. Keith Lasley, it remains a rumour at this moment in time, as does Jim Gillespie. Yeah, there's nothing formally been announced by anyone. He is on the front runner. I suppose it's one of those ones that's going to divide opinion. I suppose people are going to have their say on it. He's, I think Chris makes a really good kind of points on it. Other people might say it's not big enough. He's not got the experience, whatever else. He is a Rangers fan. He does understand the backdrop and does understand these things. It's a positive. I suppose, Kenny, an easier way for me to describe my feelings is I'm probably a bit hurt by appointments that were made that have been wrong in the past, and maybe trying to be a bit guarded in myself of saying, well, we'll give him a chance, but we're a bit worried about what's coming in, because I do tend to be really pro and really positive about what we do and what we try and get. And it inevitably, in every single year gone by, it's more or less bit as in the arse. So Jim Gillespie has been spoken about as a front runner, as a new favourite. Keith Lasley has been spoken about as coming in. So these are rumours at this moment in time. What do you make of this news tonight?
Well, I know what you mean, because our hiring and firing at executive level has been appalling over the last few years. It's just been dreadful the way we've managed to make a rip-roaring arse of things at times. So on Jim Gillespie, what I would say is, I know Chris will know this, I work over there, so I know a fair bit about him, but how would I put it? Look, his performance at the Kibble has been extraordinary. I'll tell you that for nothing. The revenue has I think it's increased 300-400% in the time that he's been there. They are very much a community charity. They are all around Paisley doing wonderful things, and that has only increased tenfold in the time that he's been there. So his work at St Mirren, the St Mirren, as Chris has said, they're a cracking. We're going to patronise them, and I don't mean to do it. I was going to call them a cracking little football club. They're not. They're just a cracking football club. They're well run, well set up. They have top executives. They have top, as you say, Keith Lasley's done a cracking job. They've got a cracking manager. They continually pick and lose players year in, year out, and they've done it for a few years now, where they know Scottish football as a football club. They have got it pretty much spot on. Top 6 3 years in the bounds. Won the League Cup this year. I think they're going to struggle for top 6 this year, but that's always going to happen with so many clubs, so much of a muchness. My only concern with this guy, and I'm going to be honest, is that I think at our CEO level, what we really need, I'll rephrase this, will he be able to do the job? Absolutely. Do we need a political animal in Scottish football? Yes, I think we do need a political animal, and I am not convinced he's necessarily going to be that guy. Is he going to be vocal enough? Is he going to be strong enough? Is he going to stand up for Rangers and just not let shit happen, so to speak? So I don't know is the answer to that. I don't know. For all I'm saying, I know a fair bit about him. I don't know enough about him in that way. So I couldn't turn around and say whether he would or wouldn't be. Chris might know a bit better than me on that level. But I don't know. I understand what you're saying about, he knocked it back before, but I think there was a reason. And if you remember and you recall,
listen, see on the knocking back thing, that's wrong. Okay, right, fair enough. I accept that. I don't mind that. I've listened to Chris. I've listened to you. I don't mind that at all. I think I'm just scarred by who we've had before and the kind of decisions they made, and try to be positive about them and talk them up. So I'm a little bit more guarded. It's not that I'm against Jim Gillespie in any way, slight shape or form. It's just that I'm sitting going, there's more questions. I'm more guarded against it, and that's how I feel. I've maybe not articulated it across. I would like to know maybe more about it and stuff like that. But I just wanted to nail that. Look, that is the wrong thing to say. He didn't take it before, but it's a wonderment more than a criticism from me of how that came about. I think Chris has explained it. I think you've explained it very well. I don't mind holding my hands up and saying it's the wrong thing to say, or maybe the wrong way to look at it. Not the wrong thing to say, the wrong way to look at it. So I don't mind that in the slightest. So we'll bottom that out and try and say that.
No, it's fine. I understand. I knew what you meant, actually. Just to finish this off, what I mean is that if you recall back then, whether it was us on this podcast, social media, the backlash at that particular time, nobody in the support particularly wanted him here. He might well have just looked at that and went, this is just not the right time for me to do that. Whereas, as Chris has said, it is literally a year down the line. He might be looking at it and saying it's an entirely different job. The prospects of where the football club are going, it's a massive project. What's going to be involved, or everything that the club's going to be involved in over the next few years. So he might look at this and say it is time to move on, because for all that, as I say, I'm not 100% convinced, Stevie. I think he's quite a ruthless guy. That's what, going from what I've heard about me, he's ruthless in terms of getting the job done.
It's hard to be, Kenny, because obviously he's been dealing with the supporters association, where fan ownership's a massive thing in football these days, but in Scotland it's still in its infancy. So I think a lot of Scottish clubs are learning different things about it. I think Hearts are the ideal model for that, but obviously now they've been diluted with Tony Bloom. So you could really turn around and say that St Mirren are are the ones that are 100% fan owned in pretty much every aspect. Now, in order to do that, you get people. You know, I'm not talking matter of fact here. I'm talking. Well, I suppose I am, because I know St Mirren fans. I'm from Paisley. I've heard things that goes on. When you get, it's like anything. Maybe you could look at Club 1872. You get people that go into positions that are fans, and then before you know it, they want more. They want to become more senior. They want to become the face of the project. They want to become the head of, you know, this fan association, and then it all becomes fighting. You get people backstabbing each other. They're fans, and they're trying to, you know, belittle each other just for their own personal game. And Jim Gillespie's had to navigate that and be ruthless. He's had to call out the people that were behaving inappropriately. He's had to call out the people that were that were not acting in the best interest of St Mirren, but acting in the best interest of themselves. And, you know, again, that's a good sounding board. Now, don't get me wrong, he's coming into something 100 times bigger. Of course it is. And again, I don't mean that any disrespectful to St Mirren, that's just a fact. But again, having these little bits of experience where, you know, he's been with an organisation where all their fans don't agree with each other because they're all thinking, they've all got their own personal agendas. You could say he's coming into a very similar situation, because I think, what's the story goes, Stevie? You could have 2 fans in Ireland, and then by the third day, there'll be 3 Rangers supporters associations. So, you know, we are a massive fan base. We all have different wants and different needs for the club. Ultimately, we do want the club to win, but he's navigated a very difficult situation and made it a positive, because Smizer, so Smizer is obviously the association. I don't ask me what it means. St Mirren Independent Supporters, something, maybe association. But they are pivotal at how St Mirren run, and Jim Gillespie's been at the forefront of that, and he's had to deal with a lot of shit just to get that pretty much running and going. And as I say, probably in the top 3 best run clubs in Scotland, and that's fan owned, by the way, fan owned. So I think he would do a good job. I really do think he would do a good job.
Well, we just need to wait and see. It's one to watch. If Jim Gillespie gets the job here, then we'll certainly back him, and we'll look at it closely. It's one that intrigues me. I think genuinely just bitten by what we've had in the past situations. So it's one that kind of to pour over, I suppose. Do you know what I was wanting to say about last night? It was extremely weird to have an anxiety watching Rangers, where it actually mattered, where we were 2-0 up and you're still worried if a team came back, because we are in amongst it at the top of the league, and it becomes something again, because for the last 2-3 years we've been going to these games, aside of maybe a slight run under Clement, where we've been 9, 10, 14 points behind or whatever, and it's not mattered. So that was nice from last night. I did, in a perverse way, kind of enjoy that anxiety level of it being 2-0 at 70 minutes and still feeling like we could throw it away and things like that. So that was an interesting thing from last night, which I kind of enjoyed. But going back to last night, my very best friend Danny Rohl said on transfers, lads, that I'm positive that we will not sign all the players on the last day. I think we can do something. If I say now, it will be in the next 2 days, and then it's 3 days. You will all ask me why. But I'm more positive, and then it could be at the end of the window you find someone that can make a big difference, and then you can go again. But it's clear which positions we want to do something. We are clear on what profiles we need, and it's now about convincing them, bring them here, and this is my experience in the last couple of windows, especially in January, they need also some minutes and some days to adjust to a group. They are growing at the moment. This is not easy. You can sign players, but they have to understand what we want, how we press, how we want to play football. It's also about bringing them very quickly, and maybe we could get some players in for the cup game. It would be helpful, because then we can use them there. Cards on the table. Chris, Kenny, I'm a bit impatient that we haven't got anybody in, or we're not really close. Now, we might be close and we just don't know about it. That's fine. There's been rumours that we have been close to a couple which look to be unfounded because they're not here. I'm with you, Chris. You said that Danny Rohl has deserved to be back in. I agree with that. As we look towards the weekend, Connor Barron allegedly took a knock last night. Dujon Sterling facing a hamstring scan. and then we're starting to pick up others that have got wee knocks and things like that. And Mikey Moore apparently feeling something in his muscle as well. We can't afford to lose Moore, Sterling, and Barron for an away trip to Pittodrie, and we can't afford to lose them to a home game to Livingston. And we do have a squad that are performing well, and absolutely all credit to them, but we do have a thin squad. And last night, when Diamandi went off, we brought on Danilo just so that we didn't bring on Kieran Dowell, and I think that tells you a lot about where we are in the depth of our squad. Danny Rohl deserves to be back for me. I really want them, and we'll talk about a few of the names that we are linked with. And I really want us to start getting our finger out. If we come to the cup game, Chris, which you'll make your gantry debut on, I'm really hoping that we have 2 in the door minimum by then. Rangers, if we're serious, right? If we're genuinely serious, going back Danny Rohl, get some players in the door, and give him the at least the help that he's earned.
Yeah, and look, I'm trying not to be too critical with this because I do take the point that it's the 7th of January, and I do understand the window's only been open for 7 days. I get that, but we've known for maybe 3 months that we need to sign players in January, and you are allowed to get deals done before the window opens. You just can't obviously register and play them until January the 1st. And I think Hearts have shown they've shown that already. They've signed 2 players. So a lot of the fans were expecting players in the door from minute one. And I'll be honest, I was probably one of those fans as well, because we should have been putting the groundwork in. I'm not saying that we haven't put the groundwork in, but we should have really been close and getting players in straight away, because yes, these players have turned a corner. I don't think it's sustainable. I said that earlier, without any real quality being added to them to help them out. And I maintain what I said at the start of the podcast. If we don't sign any, now we are going to sign players, of course we are, but if we don't sign any players, then this squad will not win the league, because they can't have a sustainable run, in my opinion. However, we can, if we add the correct bits of quality to the team, and we do it in a very timely manner. So look, if we were not in a great place right now, I'd be more anxious and I'd be more angry. But we're in a good place. I take your point. Aberdeen, we're going to be pretty thin for that game. I still think we'll have enough to get the win. However, the danger for Andrew Kavanagh and Parag Marathi and Stigging beyond the bay is, if we drop points to Aberdeen, they're going to get blamed for it, because they've not got players in, rightly or wrongly, by the way. And that's where they need to be careful. Rangers have not got a good track record of January windows. They don't. If we tried to sign a striker under Clement during Clement's first season, we would have won the league, and we didn't do that. If we backed Gio accordingly, I don't even think we would have won the league. We would have probably won the Europa League. But instead, we spent a hell of a lot of money on a player that we didn't play. We spent a decent bit of money on a player that is now shown in the Premier League that he's a player, but that money could have went to players that could have made instant impacts in the team. So then you look at Michael Beale's window. He signed 2 brilliant players, Nico Raskin and Todd Cantwell, but they weren't ready until March or April. Really, when you look at it, they kept breaking down. And this is the frustration. We always seem to be left on our heels when it comes to January. I don't think we are on our heels. I think we have been proactive behind the scenes. We have. I don't know that for a fact, but you have to think that, because if we haven't, then this could turn into a shambles again. But what does concern me ever so slightly is the players we've been linked with, not the players as individuals, because I don't know much about them, but their positions. I don't know why centre midfield seems to be a priority. Maybe it's just because that's the ones that are easier to get over the line first, and then the more difficult ones are left back, winger or striker. But of all the positions that we need to add to the squad, centre mid is probably right down the very bottom for me, and it seems to be just midfielders that we're looking at. Obviously, Penrice is a left back, but we seem to be very close on the boy from Sturm Graz, and we've obviously got the interest in the is it the Swedish or Danish boy. So don't understand that, but again, to look at it from a positive point of view, I think it's purely because these deals are easier to get done. So we're just getting them over the line now, and the more complex deals are the ones that will take more negotiation. We can get them done later in the window, but again, that could come back to bite us in the arse, because what if Jayden Magoma gets injured, or what if Chermiti gets injured, what if Gassama gets injured? So yeah, it's a really complicated window. However, what I will say is it shouldn't be as complicated this January, because this is a World Cup year, and a lot of players should be more readily available than they would be in any other January, because players are going to want to play to earn their spot. But then again, the other argument is, can we afford to shop in that type of market? So yeah, it's interesting.
It's one to watch, that's for sure. It's probably, I feel, a wee bit impatient because we are back in it. And I do want us to not miss this opportunity, because it would be bollocks to get all this work done and get back into it and then suddenly, not refresh the team and help them. Kenny, no Lyle Cameron or Finlay Curtis in last night's squad. I think that speaks volumes for their future at the football club. I would expect both to leave on loan. Interesting that Neil McCann and Billy Dodds have went to Kilmarnock. Would we consider them going down there? I know the pitch is a bit of a shiter, but would we consider putting them down there? I think probably. Oscar Cortez looks like he's going to end his loan move at Sporting Gijón and go to Argentina with Huracan, with an option to buy. I don't even know if I pronounced any of them right. Wait till you hear how I pronounce the guys we're linked with. So, yeah, there's a wee bit of kind of discussions or suggestions there. We have been linked with quite a few players. One today, Tucci Chukwuemi, targeted, 22 years old, Sturm Graz. Apparently Rangers spoke to him, number 6, 20 caps for Denmark under 21s. I'll say straight away, I don't want this boy coming here because I can't pronounce his name. We'll just need to call him Jim or something. So, but if he signs, that'll be interesting. Silas Anderson, centre midfield again, 22 years old, playing for Häcken in Sweden, linked still with James Penrice. We know him, left back Ath Athens. There is names being mentioned. A lot of reports, Rangers Review and Chris and stuff are doing these reports saying, we have spoken to teams and things like that, which is interesting. That probably comes from agents and things like that. Could Rangers just do something right out of the blue that we don't know about? Well, they did with Sting and Bjorby. So, the truth is we don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. I'll go back to what I said to Chris. I would just like it to happen quickly. Chris says that midfielders are low for him, which is great, because I think a 6 is high priority for me. So it's different the way we all look at things. And it's going to be interesting. I would really love to be in a position when we do the midweek podcast next week, when we're looking forward to the cup game, that we do have some bodies there or thereabouts. I do think it's vital, Ken.
No, it is vital. And I do think that I'm with you, actually, the number 6. Actually, I really do want to see one in quickly. I think Chris covered this really well. Okay, so there's no point kind of re-saying what he's already said, but I do agree with him in the one particular point, that if we don't get these players in, and I've seen a lot of people saying this, that you need to take your time and get the right signings. Chris has already said this. We've known since the day Russell Martin left this football club, we're going to need to sign players in January, because we've known that. Everybody at the football club, from Andrew Kavanagh to the supporters, has known this squad isn't good enough. Now, just because they're on a run at this particular minute in time, again, I'm going to 100% agree with Chris. This squad isn't strong enough to go on a run to the end of May. It just isn't. I don't think we have the depth. I don't think we have the quality in certain areas. And I think it's just imperative. Now, it's okay saying it's only a week gone, but that means there's only 3 weeks left. Now, if you're trying to struggle to get guys over the line, and yet then it gets to the last few days, that's not what we want to see. And Danny Rohl kind of laughed about that last night But I can tell you that it's not going to all happen in the last day. Yeah, well, you don't know Rangers as well as we do, mate, because this is the way it works at Rangers. So you need to get your finger out, lads, up there, because again, finance is an issue, right? And I understand, 100% understand, that there might well be certain players that have to get out the door before we can release the funds and stuff like that to bring other people in, particularly if they're going to be costly. But what an opportunity we have got here. And my concern is that at the end of the day, we're 3 points clear of Celtic, but they've got a game in hand. So we're effectively level with them and still effectively 3 points behind Hearts, but they've got a game in hand. And those two clubs are already out and doing their business. So we're the only club in the top three there that are flapping about trying to get a business done. Get it done. Because it's, as everybody has said on the comments, it's okay saying there's only a week and we need to get it right. Trust me, a week down the line, we're all going to start to brick ourselves, because there's only going to be 2 weeks left if nobody's come in. Meanwhile, we're getting these niggly injuries and talk of Conor Barron and Mo Diamandley, Dujon Sterling and everybody else being injured. Well, if we're going up to Pittodrie, it's a hard shift up there for any Rangers side. And having beaten them last night, they're going to be right up for this on Sunday. So if we're down to the bare bones, which already we are with guys like Ant-Man and Bayrami and others already out, we are at the bare bones. Get the players in. That's my kind of take on it, Stevie. Those that are leaving, I would totally agree with you. I would actually turn around and say, if it's at all possible, go and send Neil and Billy 5 of our fringe players and let them play against the rest of the Premier League, and they can't play against us, and see what they can do. If that's what Neil McCann wants. If he wants bodies in, come and take them. That's exactly what I'd be doing, because it's worked very, very well for Celtic over the years to do that. It's pass players to clubs that they're friendly with and get their players game experience, but it's also hurting those around Celtic at the same time. So, yeah, I would be all for that as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't be against Finlay Curtis going to Kilmarnock or whatever. Folks, lots of comments. One person in particular on about Dujon Sterling. I spoke about Dujon Sterling on Monday evening. I will say again, nobody in this podcast condemns some of the apparent charges that are against Dujon Sterling. He's a young man. He will admit himself that he's made a terrible mistake. Everybody deserves the chance to be rehabilitated, and it's up to the football club to deal with that in the strongest possible terms. I think I speak for all of us when I say that. What we're not going to do is go and demand people get certain punishments, this, that, and everything else, because life is sometimes not as clear as you might think or reports say. So let's trust the football club to deal with it, and Dujon as well, to come out and speak about it when the time's right. And I'm sure as a young man he will realise what went on is not good enough from him, even personally, regardless of football or what he does. I think that's all we really want to say on it. As a podcast, and not knowing the full facts, then I think that's all we really will say. I'll again say it, nobody at this podcast condones that kind of thing happening. So that's something we're all aware of. It's a club matter. Let them deal with it. Have to say a huge thank you to our two guests tonight, Chris. Not guests, that's not the right word, because this is your podcast, boys. But Chris, great to have you back on, mate. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it for once. Nothing too depressing to discuss. All positive. We're in a good place, and yeah, let's hope that next Wednesday we're talking about. Well, I know you will talk about it on Monday and Tuesday anyway, but at least I can have my say about a great win at Pittodrie. And as you say, Stevie, looking forward to Annan and making my debut on the gantry. You obviously be making sure I'm on my best behaviour.
Well, I trust you to be on your best behaviour. Mark experienced the gantry for last night and loved it. A lot of people commenting that he was dressly smartly dressed, and he certainly was. Kenny, not like us, we turn up in our casuals, having experienced it, more worried about being warm than being smart. But as ever, Kenny, thank you, mate. I preferred your sexy husky voice, I've got to be honest with you. I replayed that pod this week, I'm not going to lie, and it did special things to me, buddy. So sorry about the computer again, mate, and it's always a delight to have you on.
You're going to come off here and they're going to piss yourself laughing about the computer again, mate, for about the 50th time. So don't come up with your garbage just because you're live on air, mate. But listen, the last thing on this is a boy on the comments. They're saying, how do you know things aren't being done when it comes to the signings? Well, we do know things are being done behind the scenes, but we've not signed them yet. That's how we know nothing's been done. It is that simple. We've not signed anyone when other clubs round about us are signing players. But look, for me tonight, I just really enjoyed it. Nice to have Chris back. Yeah, I'll take your forgiveness for the computer, mate, but I'm not really believing it. Not really, because you have laughed a lot since I told you exactly what you got me.
It was funny, especially when Chris started wading in and calling me a useless bastard. I thought that was quite amusing. Folks, thank you so much to the people that have got in contact about the Four Lads hats. I am responding to everybody today. We'll get addresses and get them posted out. So thank you for everybody. I think they're almost sold out. So that's a good thing. What is sold out is our live show at New Edmondson House on Friday night with myself, Heart and Hand's very own David Edgar and CJ Novo. We're fantastically grateful for everybody that's bought tickets to sell out. New Edmondson House is absolutely incredible. We cannot wait to see everybody on Friday night. Almost everybody on Friday night, and we're really looking forward to it. So, if you're there, please say hello, and we can't wait to see you. As we said, thank you for the support. As I said, for us to sell out New Edmondson House is absolutely unbelievable. So thank you ever so much. For the members, we're now at 700 strong membership wise. The response from you guys is incredible. Really helps us as a podcast order some more shitty computers for Kenny and stuff like that. So we really appreciate it. If you want to become a member, you can scan the QR code. It costs as little as 99p, and you can get access to all the latest shows. I think we're recording with Tom Miller, the voice of Rangers commentary, this week. He's got a new book out, so we're speaking to him. Members can also watch episode 5 of the Rangers Years, which is with Chris Burt, which was a fantastic interview with Chris. We hope that just by doing a wee bit extra, we'll give you that capability to become a member. Also lets you watch all our shows ad-free as well, which people moan about and complain about all the time as well. But being a member gives us the option to be able to take them off for you too. So thank you so much. Been another brilliant podcast. Thousands of people watching it. Your support continues to astound and really please us. So thank you, everyone. Huge thanks to our sponsors, as ever, Rhino Express, Clydeview Fire Protection and Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions, CSD Air Conditioning, our very own Candid, and our Sunday Show local dart shop online. Huge thanks to John for all his support. We are going to give away, thanks to John, dartboard and darts and stuff soon donated by John's shop. So we're going to do that soon. And so please get involved in that. Well done to the team, to the manager. Another cracking 3 points. Roll on Pittodrie on Sunday. If we do win there, Christ, I might even smile more than once on the podcast next week, because then it does really start to get real. Me and Chris on a podcast like that, it could be jolly. That's all I'm going to say about it. And fingers crossed it is, because the team are doing so well. So for everybody, have a great week. Friday podcast will be at 8 o'clock. Andy, Mark, and the guys are on then. I won't be there because obviously we are playing Edmondson House on a Friday night. So please do join us for that. And for everybody else, please have a cracking couple of days. Be careful in this weather. Everyone take care, and we'll speak to you all again soon. Bye for now.
The Four Lads Lads podcast is sponsored by Rhino Express, Clydeview Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions Limited, and CSD Air Conditioning, in partnership with Black Rooster and Art of Gold. Thank you for listening to or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.